It is Thursday, August 21st.
This is The Warning.
Yesterday, 3 fascists walked into Union Station in Washington, D.C. for a bit of performance theater. They were, respectively, the man who's a heartbeat away, J.D. Vance, a weirdo without competition in this administration, the defense minister, the incompetent Pete Hegseth, who is tailed everywhere around the Pentagon by his third wife, Jenny, and the chief Little Eichmann, Stephen Miller. And Stephen Miller decided to give a speech filled with rage, bluster, and partisan invective in front of the smirking defense secretary and in front of the awed vice president, emasculating them both.
They have no families they're raising in this city. They have no one that they're sending to school in this city. They have no jobs in this city. They have no connections to this community at all. But they're the ones who've been advocating for the 1%, the criminals, the killers, the rapists, the drug dealers. And I'm glad they're here today. Because me, Pete, and the Vice President are all going to leave here, and inspired by them, we're going to add thousands more resources to this city to get the criminals and the gang members out of here. We're going to dismantle those networks, and we're going to prove that a city can serve for the law-abiding citizens who live there. We are not going to let the communists destroy a great American city, let alone the nation's capital.
Here's the thing in this fascist regime. Don't be confused by the hierarchy. When J.D. Vance and Pete Hegseth walk into a room with Stephen Miller's the boss. And so it made sense that the person who would titillate Trump, who would rub his belly, rub that orange into his scalp, would be his Reinhard Heydrich, the architect of the burgeoning concentration camp archipelago that stretches from coast to coast and has names like Alligator Alcatraz. And there's a new one in Nebraska and a new one in Indiana. And in these places, children sleep on concrete, human beings drink out of toilet bowls, and the philosophy of cruelty that is antithetical to American values spills out. In the hidden corners, there are beatings, and there are abuses, and there are degradations of human rights on American soil, and it is disgusting. Donald Trump has put the city of Washington, D.C. under a military occupation, not to fight crime, but to impose power. His ice masked men have run around this country, and 71% of the people they have tackled, that they have chained, that they have beaten and they have abused, have no criminal record at all. They're gardeners, they're maids, and they're DoorDash drivers. And they have been labeled the enemy within by a man and his henchmen who incited an enemy within to rise up and attack the capital of the United States after Trump lost an election decisively. They killed police officers and they beat them, including with an American flag. And now these despicable fascists dare to give a lecture about law and order?
Why are troops stationed here at Union Station on the National Mall instead of areas in D.C. where crime is statistically highest?
Well, if you've ever been to Union Station in the last few years with your family, you know that crime is actually extremely high right here in Union Station. You have vagrants, you have drug addicts, you have the chronically homeless, you have the mentally ill who harass, who threaten violence, who attack families, and they've done it for far too long. This should be a monument to American greatness. This should be a place where you can come and share a meal or go shopping with your family. It should not be a place where parents of small children are afraid to bring them because, to Stephen's point, we have empowered criminals over the people who actually need public safety in this city. So I think Union Station is a great example of what's possible when you actually have the political willpower to bring law and order and common decency back to the public spaces of the United States of America.
And while trying to steal the votes of millions of black Americans, taking away their vote with Jim Crow-style gerrymandering.
But one of the things that you see in a lot of red states is blue states have really aggressively gerrymandered such that they've actually made it harder for the majority of the state of Indiana to have their voice heard in their federal elections. Because if California has crazy gerrymanders, Illinois has crazy gerrymanders, New York has crazy gerrymanders, what it does is it actually suppresses the will of the people in states like Indiana.
They claim to be their protectors. They claim to be good stewards. They claim that if you just give up all of your liberty, you can have all of their security. Benjamin Franklin, who knew a thing or two about the subject, had advice that should linger through the ages to this day, is that people willing to trade liberty for security deserve neither. When you see Pete Hegseth and uniformed military personnel there, smirking unprofessionally during a raging partisan speech,
this is the guy who thinks people don't deserve law and order in their own community.
Mr. Vice President, how did it go?
Guys, thank you.
what it means is the military, the armed forces of the United States, are at the edge of their affection with the American people. Soon, the alienation will begin. The people will not maintain the affection for occupiers, for masked men, for camo-clad men with long rifles, assault weapons, military rifles pointed at the citizenry. Many years ago, there was this famous scene after Katrina in New Orleans when armed forces were deployed with their weapons. Lieutenant General Russell Honore, here seen shouting, "Put your weapons down." They're not occupiers in New Orleans. They were there to help. And this is a fundamental point. The tragedy of this era and the travesty of our time is the purposeful division, the breaking of the bonds, the shattering of the cornerstones of our civilization. And 7 months in, this fascist regime has deployed the military against the people. And soon, the American military will spill into America's cities. In the New World Order, the one written by Trump, Gavin Newsom is the enemy and Putin is our ally. California is a despotic hellscape, Russia a paradise. Over and over again, Donald Trump has made it clear he hates half the country, and 49.5% of our countrymen made him president. A small victory, but a victory that gave him 100% of the executive power. The Congress gave him all of their power, and the judiciary a fair amount as well. And so now, it seems that we are in a bit of a transition to one-man rule. Trump will decide if 2 + 2 = 5 or 4 or 3 or 10. What he says goes. He's the law. Stephen Miller's the law. But by all means, we should keep up those USA chants. Keep telling ourselves we're an exceptional country. Keep telling ourselves we're the land of the free and the home of the brave. Because it certainly looks like it in Washington, D.C., doesn't it?
I'm Steve Schmidt. This is The Warning. I invite you to join this community where I promise to be honest, blunt, and direct about what is happening in this country. America is in crisis. Follow and subscribe to this channel and on Substack. Thank you.